If you want to melt enemy ki, stay hyper aggressive and absolutely bully bosses in Nioh 3, then this fist build is for you. Today in my Nioh 3 video I'm going to be breaking down the best stats, skills, gear rolls and combo flow to turn you into a fist non-stop pressure machine. This is a high tempo ki destroying build, built around relentless offense and smart ki management. So why the Cester's fists? Fists are one of the most aggressive weapons in the game. They excel at fast multi-hit pressure, massive ki damage, stagger lock potential and fluid stance switching combos. So in this build guide today we'll be looking at my stat breakdown, gear setup and recommendations, some general recommendations for martial arts, guardian spirits and soul cores that I personally recommend, and a playstyle guide towards the end of the video. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So heading over to the stat priority section of the build, here's my levels. So primary stats, I've basically boosted my heart stat up quite a bit. This obviously boosts the melee power of the fists and increases your ki pool. And I've also pumped in a few points to stamina, which basically lets me stay aggressive without running too much ki risk. Secondary, I've obviously gone into strength for extra raw damage, and I've put quite a few points into my magic stat, which is obviously optional for you guys, as I do prefer my buffs like the Carnage Talisman and obviously Elemental Talismans as well. So basically in terms of the stat distribution, you can do your own thing of course, as the beauty with this game you can reset your levels on the fly, but the goal for this fist build is simple: big ki pool, ki recovery, fast recovery and non-stop pressure. I would obviously recommend to pump some points into other stats like skill and intellect as well, to obviously meet gear recommendation levels. But primarily I've obviously focused on heart, stamina, strength and magic to basically boost my melee power and my ki recovery speed. So there you go guys, that is the stat breakdown for the build. And if we head over to the core skills section and martial arts skills, this is basically my skill tree, and I'm going to give you guys some recommendations for the build. So Fist of Reckoning, if you do have it, I personally don't have it right now, but it is a fantastic skill. This is basically the bread and butter skill for the build if you can pick this up. It's a quick attack into Reckoning, which basically you hold the strong attack and you can extend your combo, and this ability absolutely melts ki. So if you do have the opportunity to grab this crucible art, I would definitely recommend the Fist of Reckoning. Also, if we move to the Reckless Charge, this is a brilliant gap closer skill and I use it quite a lot in boss fights and also small mobs too. It's basically a charging skill which does a lot of ki damage. It does some multitude damage as well, and it's perfect for basically staying glued to your enemy. Also moving over to Limitless, this is a punish finisher when enemies are out of ki, which is a brilliant skill, and I also recommend the Dread Slayer skill too for positioning, and it's a good combo extender too. Also, I do recommend the Beyond Finity skill. This is a high stance skill, and it's very effective because it has flowing high stance multi-strike combos, which are basically unlocked after your basic combo chain, and it's just another hard-hitting combo chain for heavy stance moves. And of course, I cannot recommend enough the Stomp skill as well. It's basically a grounded stomp, and then it empowers your next martial arts skill or attack, so definitely recommend that. So if we briefly just move on to the martial arts section, this is just a quick screen to show you guys exactly what moves I've got on my high stance, on my low stance and my mid stance for the fists. So moving on to the gear setup, my general recommendation is to obviously use gear that fulfills your personal choices, needs and wants, that ultimately maximizes your defense, your toughness, and also don't forget to make sure to not go over that 70% encumbrance threshold. In this particular build, I really like the Brave Demon Hunter gear set, along with the Brave Demon Hunter fists. This is a fantastic set that gives you the Fist of the Four Guardians set bonus. It's just overall a really solid gear choice for the fists, and I highly recommend you put these pieces on if you can. In terms of weapon rolls, I would look out for ki recovery speed, reduced ki consumption for your martial arts, increased melee damage and active skill damage. And for armor rolls, I do recommend ki recovery speed, toughness and melee damage versus zero ki enemies. Basically anything that boosts your ki sustain or damage to broken enemies is huge for this build. So briefly touching base on the soul cores and guardian spirits. Soul core wise, I tend to use the Ibaraki Doji soul core for really high base stats, a hefty amount of damage and also lightning damage as well. This is personally my favourite soul core at the moment, so what I'd recommend is to just experiment with the main soul cores that you like and just go with the flow. And also if we head over to my soul core section for the talismans, I highly recommend the Carnage Talisman for damage boost, the Barrier Talisman for key recovery, and also the Elemental Talismans for status build-up. My recommendation is to go for a mix between the two, either wind and electricity, or fire and water and electricity, because elemental power and the fists equals constant pressure. So moving on to the Guardian Spirits, this will just be a brief section, but basically it's tied down to personal recommendation and personal opinion. For me, the very first Guardian Spirit is more than enough for this build, but of course you can experiment and just choose whichever one you want. If you're still stuck on which Guardian Spirit to choose, try and choose stats that increase your melee damage, boost key recovery and speed and regen, and add elemental or grapple buffs. So moving on to the playstyle and combat flow of the build itself, I'll go over a brief description of how I maintain my basic combat loop when it comes to bosses and enemies, and then I'll leave you guys with some boss fight gameplay. So tip number 1, I basically approach safely using quick attacks, battering ram martial arts to basically start the fight off. Then I'll typically use Rising Gale for key consumption and key regen to maintain pressure. And then my string combos, I'll go into Fists of Reckoning or Limitless when the enemy is staggered. And then I prioritise my key management over raw hits. The Cestus combos can burn key very quickly. And some quick tips of course is key recovery is life. Keep your reasonably high key as much as you can and sustain your key recovery as much as possible to extend your combos with martial arts like Rising Gale. So guys, that's basically the end of the build. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll leave you guys with some boss fight gameplay. Of course, if you've got any questions on the playstyle or the build itself, please make sure to leave a comment section down below and let me know guys, what build are you using at the moment? Without further ado, let's get into the boss fight gameplay. Thanks for watching everybody. Please make sure to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, if you want to watch Nioh free content in the future, and take care everyone. Bye for now.